The CEO kept all, I'm going to emphasize all of her passwords in an insecure password management on her phone. Any info on what this is and how to avoid this in the future? So it says at a large. So is this the right one?
What's
Yeah,
that? That's the one with Easy Password Manager.
yeah. So at a large client, we asked the management to use and adopt one of those more well-known password managers. We recommend OnePass or Bitwarden. They seem to be good at the moment. Wanting to avoid the cost, the manager did not adopt our recommendation, but instead downloaded Easy Password Manager from Rebrand Software and typed in all her passwords there onto her iPhone. The app has later been removed from iTunes and Google Store. We have we have multi-factor authentication on all the important accounts she controls. So we are in control. But they have two questions, right? This person has two questions. Does anybody recognize or know this piece of software and have any idea who is behind it? The rebrand software. How can we avoid that users install dangerous apps on their tablets, phones in the future? Complete lockdown with iTunes or what? We will, of course, do user awareness training after this in addition. So, this is a good question, but the question is, right? Here's the question I'm going to pose. I'm going to modify this a little bit, right? What do you
Hmm.
do when the CEO does not follow the rules?
You
3 minutes
ready?
are up. Let's get to it.
All right. So, first of all, no one's above cybersecurity inside of an organization because the CEO is married to his stockholders. He cannot do things. He or she should not do things that endanger the ability for those stockholders to gain profit on their initial investment, and that extends into uh, the obedience to certain processes that need to be put in place. Now, looked into Easy Password Manager real quick. I ran a dig command, and then I did, and then it came up with like some 8 whatever IP addresses. I ran against that password. I ran against that IP space. Um, there's just the ability to do those things. Identify a lot of ways that we can improve, right? So, first of all, that's the boss. You don't want to make the boss feel inferior. You don't want to do anything crazy, right? Um, so the first step would be a BYOD policy to be put into place, right? Um, and BYOD meaning bring your own device policy. From there, we have remote erasure tools that get added onto that endpoint, be it a tablet, cell phone, or laptop. And those things are important because you need to address things that have our secret sauce on it, and to protect our data at rest. When we're talking about data in motion, and ensuring that things go through a VPN, and also gaining within that BYOD process, ensuring that you can have the ability to install only trusted software onto those endpoints, right? Something like there used to be a place I'm probably gonna go over in a minute. So I'm just telling you because of the intricacies of this question. There's gonna be hmm, okay. So there used to be a practice back in the day where people believed in passing on responsibility or debt or risk, right? And passing off of risk was enough to satisfy some type of SOC certification or requirement. When in when in fact it's not, because if we have risky infrastructure, let's say that one the CEO has all their passwords on that one phone. If that phone touches my infrastructure that is internal, right? It could be seen as a trusted endpoint, which then allows the enemy or the bad guy to pivot from that cell phone into the internal network, And that's especially if we have something like that being allowed on the CEO's cell phone, then there's possibility that this whole infrastructure, this whole enterprise is not properly VLAN segmented or whatnot. So there's a lot of security concern that's being represented inside this question. And if I seem triggered, I am a little bit, because there's a lot of problems with what's going on there. Do we have the ability to have, like, if we have within BYOD, no matter what the vendor is, or even if it's a home-based, a homebrew version, there's such thing as sandboxing the environment, so that yes, his personal stuff can be can be stolen, but when it comes to two-factor authentication, what does that two-factor authentication really look like, right? Um, he just stored his passwords. Cool. All right. So the bad guys got the password, but do they have the YubiKey that's being used as as that multi-factor authentication versus two-factor authentication, right? So we could spend hours on this question, but I think that I answered most parts of it, like
Yeah.
how to avoid it, BYOD, and any info on what Easy Password Manager is. Okay, first you take that URL and then you put it into something called dig. That dig is going to give you the authoritative answer, or the IP address that marries up to it. Then you can go through a myriad of blocks, or permissive based, rule based access controls, like whether or not you want to allow that IP or IPs from that region to have access to your infrastructure. Are you going to instantiate different practices or security protocols in order to access things such as email and things of that matter? Also, biometrics can be utilized. Like, we have options here, but it sounds like the CEO is just running amok.
You remember in the TV show 24 where they'd cut off the person's hand and then they'll use that to authenticate the biometric?
The fun part about biometrics now is that heat sensitivity matters. So they cutting off a hand, and in 2 minutes before the blood leak out, they're like, "Oh, we got him. Let's cut out and scoop an eyeball out and be like, oh, retina display." I don't know if that's how that works.
All right. So let's wrap up that question. Thank you very much, Socks.
If you enjoyed the fascinating information shared in this video and you want more, be sure to hit the subscribe button to Tech Coach Ralph to be notified for new videos.
Enigmatic Joker.